everyone, welcome back. For me, it's been about 3 weeks since I've physically sat down in front of a camera. For you, it's been 2 days. I've been away at Glastonbury. I had a really lovely time. It was so hot. If anyone wants to check that out, there's a video of me doing ASMR. It's also little highlights of me volunteering, and also like little bits of food and little bits of just sounds and contrasting and just the general atmosphere of Glastonbury. But that's not the reason why I sat down today. The reason why I sat down today is because I want to update you on a few little bits. So I do have my sketchbook that I took to Glastonbury. I did a few little drawings. I just want to sit down and give it a talk. I've also got a new print in the process, and I thought I'd show you kind of the start of it, because even though I have cut it out on Lino, printed it, trying to source the colours correctly, etc, I still need to have that end game of be able to get it there. So as always with Glastonbury, I tend to take my little sketchbook. This is from Seabright of Brighton sketchbook. This is actually quite good for any type of medium in terms of like fine liner, pencil and paint. I have done a proper review on this on my channel. I'll leave it in the link in the description if you want to check that out. And generally when I go out and draw, no matter in what environment, I tend to only take a selection of pens with me, because when you limit the amount of pens, you end up focusing more on the object than you do on the colour preference and the colour correction and the right colours of the scene, and therefore you're able to identify the foreground, the midground and background a lot easier, and it becomes much more of an interesting piece. So I believe I took 5 different colours out, and as always start off with a simple format drawing. So this is the first one. This is actually of a fire pit that was opposite to me. You will see it in the video if you saw it. Just very straightforward, just a fire pit. I just wanted something still rather than something movable, because there was just a lot going on. If you're very stimulated by environments and people and contrasts like me, it can be very overwhelming. Coping with it is basically knowing which way your exit is. That's what I find. A collection of people within a set that has just been built up. And I do like this mostly because of the colour preference. It's a little shack with seats. Ironically, when you're at Glastonbury, there's not much shade unless you go in your tent, but even then it's absolutely boiling. But I do like the fact that it's very complimentary. So we've got some moving figures in amongst a shelter within a contrasting composition. The next one, I really wanted to do something to do with flags. So with the colours that I had, I was just drawing them over and over again, a bit like moving figures, one of my artworks, onto a piece of paper. And I really love the contrasting assortment of it. This would actually look really lovely as a liner print. So instead of doing a whole group one, you just do one general shape, whichever the most interesting shape is, and press print onto the colour. Print using whatever colour you want, and then changing the colour. Or you could do a massive print just like that. So I would sketch this into a liner print, cut it all out, and then I have to single-handedly put in all the colours onto the lines to create this contrast. Because even though this looks really good to look at and exciting to draw, you may not necessarily know what it is, but also you don't get that freedom if you do one solid line drawing. You need that difference of where you can see it's got different shapes and different thicknesses of line, and also some of them are really straight and some of them are really messy, so you kind of need that contrast within it. And I just realised this kind of looks like one of the bins that I have around Glastonbury, but anyway, that aside, that's just some ideas I'm verbally saying to myself when I look back at this video, and then probably end up doing anyway. So the next part I want to show you is that I've had this drawing of one of my cats called Io for quite a long time. You've probably seen it up here in the backdrop. and it is this one. Now I've been wanting to do a lino print of sorts of this for ages. Translating it into a lino print is probably one of the most hardest things you can ever do when it comes to drawing with fine liner, not with fine liner, with pencil, because once you've got the main shape of it and you've marked on where you want to take bits off or add bits on, you have to either do a negative print, so print where all the white is to then put a colour on top, or you can do it the opposite way, you can carve out all the individual bits and pieces. That for me took the most amount of time of figuring it out which way I wanted to go, because it can mean and do a lot of different things, but because of I want to stay true to the cat colour, I use quite a caramel colour. He's actually sat on this windowsill, so I'll show you in a second. Staying true to the right cat colour meant that I had to carve out just the shaded parts of the drawing. And I've done two testing liner prints, which I firstly found very hard to get the colour right, and secondly I feel like it is missing something, so I'm going to have to go back and either edit it, or even the thought of printing onto black paper did cross my mind because he's such a light colour, and whereas all my other cat prints are black and white, he's caramel, and I think it would really look lovely on a black piece of paper. But also I have this idea of going back and using either watercolour pens or fine liner to edit the pieces just to highlight some of the structure that he has. So I'm going to quickly show you him. Hopefully he will not move too much and you'll understand the colour. Why do you decide to move? Hey. You see this lovely golden colour he has? When the sun shines on it, it's lovely and white. Yeah. So now you see how difficult, because there's a lot of stripes actually in his fur. So that is what I'm currently dealing with. Only now he decides to come over. Come on. He absolutely stinks though. He's quite old. He's about 13 years old, this one. And he came to us November. So if you go to November, it would have been a year he came to us. This is my boyfriend's mum's cat. She came home one day and someone was trying to take him. So she was like, nah. Obviously there was other events that led up to that point. So she just thought, I'll just put it in the bag and send him over. So here we are. Yeah, settle down. So 2 prints that I've done. I was actually quite pleased with these. The problem is when you do a new liner print is that because you don't have the surface colour already in the liner print and it's kind of like layered, it can go a bit bubbly, which is what you can see within these prints here. So as you can see, the colour is, I mean on the screen it looks a bit orange, but it actually is a bit yellow, more yellow than that. Oh, that's a bit better, there you go. So it's quite a large liner print for what I'm normally used to, so the frame that's going to have to fit in is going to be square. Main thing you can see from it, I know where the main details are, like as in his head and his fur and like his little paw is, whereas I don't think necessarily everyone who's going to see this is going to necessarily know and be able to identify it. So this is where the thought of going back through it and just highlighting bits through either fine liner or watercolour pen just to edit it a bit more, so it's a bit more adventurous. I'm going to say adventurous. Adventurous is a good word. So here's this second one. This one's with the double layer, so the colours have come out a bit more. Getting this colour is so difficult, as you can tell from the video. So I'm going to explain to you what it is. So this part here is his head. He's kind of like needling in. That's his paw, part of his tail and his arch, because when he tucks into a ball, he's so like strong in his position, wound up, I'm going to say wound up in his position, that it looks like he's in a really tight ball and it's really cute. But yeah, with this I did have a bit of leftover colour. whilst I was experimenting with how and what and where. So I decided to use any leftover colours onto two of my, should we say, excess pages, which I kind of use as abstraction pages or leftover remnants. So these are bits of paper that I've done drawings or printmaking in, and they've just not worked, and either the back doesn't work or I'm not able to use it in any other process other than to use any leftover ink on top of it. So that's what I've done. This one has quite a few layers on. This has basically a lot more white on it because it was just yellow and white that I was mixing together. And what is really nice about this is that it was very dark, and having that natural lightness has really made this a bit more unique and industrial. I think that's the right word. You can see where I've got a weird mixture of colours in the middle. I'm not quite sure if that's, if like this one is like a put away kind of situation, but it's a very warm piece, and part of me wants to leave it and then part of me just wants to call it a day because it's very layered and very textured and very thick in terms of the texture. So what I'm going to do in this time, I'm actually due to buy another picture frame which will this will fit into once it's dry. I'm going to put it in the frame and see if there's anything else that's irritating me about it, and then call it a day as always. I do have two others that are in the process. One of them I only did a single line on top of. You may see that the colours on this board isn't just, well, the colours that I've been using in the print, because the board already has like an inkling of red and it's water activated ink. As soon as I start putting on more ink and wheeling it about, it will have these hints and tones of colours, which I don't mind. When it comes to the printmaking, it didn't affect that printmaking, but when I was using the leftovers, it makes it kind of a weird, unique situation of whatever. I don't want to say muddying. It is muddying, but in a classic skin coloured tone way. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of mishmash of a bit of everything of what I'm been going upon. It has been quite hard for me to be able to sit back down again and get back out of holiday mode into the finer things of life of drawing for a living and doing artwork for a living. And it has been so much easier knowing that as soon as I turn my Vinted account and eBay account back on, people will buy my artworks, and it made me feel so much more welcomed back from holiday because it gave me something so much to look forward to. When someone buys my artwork, I'm like, okay, so I need this picture frame and I need this picture frame, I need to send it off by this date, and it gives me something to focus on rather than the fact that I'm having to go back to work. Like, not this work, like other work. So it's a lot, but thank you for making it a bit more easier for me to go back to. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll do my very best to answer them. Like I said, there's a couple of videos in my description box that relate to what I've said in this video. There's also my links to my social medias and also my Vinted and eBay account. One or the other would be great. Do check them out if you have a spare minute. Even just give them a like or have a little scroll or have any feedback about any of them. That would be excitable and perfect. But yeah, in the meantime guys, thank you so much again, and I shall see you later. Bye.